Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta says it looks like Bukayo Saka will be out for more than 2 months after having an operation on his injured hamstring. The England winger went off in the first half of last Saturday's 5-1 thrashing of Crystal Palace. Arteta says it's a hard time to predict exactly how long it will be until Saka's return.
I don't know exactly how much longer. I think it will depend, how that scar tissue starts to heal, the first week or so, mobility of that. Let's see, it's very difficult to say.
Cass, you know what it's like with injuries, and you've seen teammates go through this. When a player has to have a hamstring surgery, I mean, obviously that tells you how severe it is. How worrying is this?
Very concerning, because hamstrings, most players have between 4 and 6 weeks to recover from them. Obviously, a lot of stretching involved, but the last result is going to have surgery on a hamstring. Yeah, it's a big injury. I mean, I'd be surprised if he's back within 2 months if he's had surgery. Reece James, I'm not comparing, because Reece James had serious injuries with his hamstring, but when he went in to have a major operation to resolve the problem, because he kept getting hamstring issues, it was a lot. It's been a long time where Reece has suffered. Now, obviously, hopefully, Saka is not there.
But is that the worry? If you've had to, at such a young age, if you've had to have an operation on a hamstring, that going further down the line, remember he's played a lot of games already. Yeah, it is a big concern. Yeah, because it's surgery is not something that happens very often with hamstring injuries. So, yeah, hopefully he'll be fine. Hopefully we'll recover brilliantly from the operation, but it is still going to the knife is a sort of a last resort with hamstrings. Yeah, very much so. Listen, it might change their view of the January transfer window and whether or not they should go in and try and find some sort of a replacement. The problem you also have, though, is whoever they may turn to, whether it is buying somebody in, does a player want to come in knowing that you might actually only play a bit part, because eventually they'll want Saka back in? Well, you've got to buy a player that is obviously has the quality to be in the first team, because you're trying to strengthen as well. I'd probably suggest get someone who's flexible, can play more than one position. That can solve quite a number of issues, whether he can play on the other side or even as a midfielder in different roles. There are midfielders, and we've seen Carl Palmer be very flexible, and others that can do that role. If Arsenal could find someone and go, do you know what, play on the right, play on the left, maybe even in a 10 position if need be. Yeah, would be a good strengthening and cover. Yeah. For more of those stories, you can visit our website at talksport.com. By the way, we've had a few texts in. Apologies, I haven't had the time to read them out. Just quickly read them. Some with regards to the Tamworth ticket situation. Some from Jason, who's a Forest fan, talking about Danny Murphy's column, as we brought you earlier on in the papers, about how he feels that 2025 will be the year, as this headline says, Mighty Mo dethrones King Henry as Premier League's greatest. Well, Jason says there is no way Salah will overtake Henry as the greatest ever. Salah isn't even in the top 3 of all time. I mean, that's the beauty of football. We all have different views. Liam from Belfast, on that subject of Tamworth tickets, out of curiosity, how much would Tamworth fans be paying for their tickets if their game was at Spurs? Don't know what their tickets would be. Normally the Premier League, we have a slight reduction. With cup games, it might be a little bit less, and Gavin, you've sent a lengthy text or WhatsApp. I'll try and read it, as much of it as I can, but I'm going to try and sort of slim it down. Tamworth fan for nearly 30 years, been up and down the country following them. The prices are high, Gavin says, but perfectly expected and acceptable. As fans that put money into the club, we want the club to make as much money as they can. He does say the under 10 prices are disgraceful. £10 would have been right, is what he was saying. If you didn't hear earlier on, normally under 10s can either go free or up to £4, depending on where they are in the stadium. For this game, they're being charged a maximum 29, minimum 25, so that is some hike. But Gavin, in the main, seems to have no issue with the pricing for those tickets. Thank you for your messages. Now it's time for a bit of this. What is the answer? No debate from me. He's not telling the truth. I think about that hour ago. I think about that. It's baffling me. I'll be shocked. I don't agree with you. What could it be? It might take a couple of weeks to think about it. I don't think there's any debate. I know the answer. Perfect cocktail. I kept thinking to myself, bonkers. All right, it's time for the feature where we discuss the most pressing issues in sport in Help Us, Tony. And there's only one man that can help us. Of course, it is only Tony Cascarino. So let's get straight to it. Vitor Pereira, we mentioned this game already, takes his Wolves side to Spurs off the back of 2 great wins in his opening 2 games, conceding no goals. In the previous 16, under Gary O'Neill, they'd got just 9 points and conceded 40. Crikey. How and why does a new manager bounce work?
It's something that's happened very often. Managers can save clubs, and not always the case, but come in and fresh ideas and change of personnel, change of formation. It's many different reasons. And sometimes it's players digging a bit deeper because you'll have some players, in most squads will have between 20 and 30% of players who really are guaranteed to be in the starting lineup. Yeah. And there's a lot of chopping and changing with, a majority of the squad. So if he finds his best 11 and the best 11 are people who are proving to be the value that Gary O'Neill didn't quite see them as, it's a tricky one. It's spinning plates with players but getting the best out of them. It's overachieving. All these managers that come in and do these manager bounce, they all overachieve with what they got. But there's a lot more dynamic to proving to the new guy, I'm worthy of a spot.
Yeah, and it's just a reset all round.
Yeah, it is a reset. That's probably the word for it, reset. Yeah.
Just quickly moving on, Cole Palmer's goal against Fulham on Boxing Day was his 26th in the Premier League of this calendar year, breaking the Chelsea record set by Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank back in 2001. From January the 1st, Thomas Tuchel will become the new England boss. Is Cole Palmer the best England player currently? Yeah,
without doubt. I mean, Foden won Player Football Writers at the end of last season. I think if you look at what Cole Palmer has done at Chelsea, and a team that isn't the Chelsea of league title winning material from previous seasons, he's made a massive impact, and he's a brilliantly gifted individual that comes with big numbers as well, not just goals but assists. He's a quality player. He's become absolutely... Thomas Tuchel will look at him and think he's a unique talent. Yeah. But then he's got a lot. That was Phil Foden, who's not really delivered in an England shirt.
No, and it wasn't that long ago, and you wouldn't have been the only one that said this, that you felt that Phil Foden still deserved to be ahead of Cole Palmer when it came to England. Very different story now, though.
No, right? This season, it's been chalk and cheese with how Foden's played, and now Palmer... Let's get it right. Phil Foden's a really talented lad. He's lost his way slightly this season. He's off the back of, 3-4 really good seasons with City. His level's been super high, especially last year. This year he's struggled, but then Man City have struggled, and loads of players of Man City have struggled. Yeah. It's not just him,
no.
So, Palmer's a unique talent. He is. He's actually a lot quicker than people think. He glides across the pitch, and he's also got great vision. I watched him live 2 or 3 times this season, come away thinking, cool, he's a talented lad.
Oh, yeah, we're seeing that for sure.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.